On Halloween night 2019, a Halloween party at a house in Orinda, California turned into the scene of a nightmarish bloodbath after a shooting took place. 5 people were killed and 4 others were injured when multiple people opened fire. The house in which the shooting took place was rented by a woman through Airbnb. She reportedly told the property owner that she was hosting a family reunion for 12 people and that some attendees had asthma and needed to gather at a location free of wildfire smoke. The shooting took place during the Kincaid fires in California. The owner told the renter that she could have no parties. However, going against the owner's wishes, she proceeded to throw a party anyway and share details of it on social media. Approximately 100 people attended the party. Some of the people who attended were a part of rival gangs from San Francisco and Marin City. The gunmen were able to sneak their weapons past a security guard who was drinking from a bottle of cognac. Police had been called to the house shortly after 9 p.m. after noise complaints were filed by neighbors, but they never responded due to more high-priority calls coming in. They only arrived at the scene after gunfire erupted at 10:49 p.m. A total of 9 people were shot. 4 of them died at the scene and one of them, a female, died the next day on November 1st. The victims were identified as 22-year-old Tyon Farley of Antioch, 24-year-old Omar Taylor Jr. of Pittsburgh, 29-year-old Javelin County of Marin City, 19-year-old Oceana Tompkins of Vallejo, and 23-year-old Raymond Hill Jr. of San Francisco. Hill was a member of the Page Street mob in San Francisco and had a gun on him at the time of his death. He had been paroled in July of 2019 after being convicted of a drive-by shooting. County had been on supervised release after a prison sentence for possession of stolen property. 4 men were arrested and charged with murder, and another man, Devin Williamson, was charged with being an accessory. It's said that he was one of the main organizers of the party. Police investigated if the shooting was linked to a quadruple homicide that happened in 2015 in San Francisco. Victim Tyon Farley was the younger brother of Lee Farley Jr., who was charged with shooting and killing 4 people on January 9, 2015, while they all sat double parked in a stolen car. However, it's not known for sure if there was any link. On November 18, 2019, the Contra Costa County District Attorney's Office announced that no charges would be brought up against the 5 men. 3 days after this announcement, on November 21, 2019, police arrested 2 29-year-old men, D'Amico Jones and Frederick Johnson, and charged them with owning a gun that was linked to the shooting. A memorial for the 5 victims took place outside of the house. Flowers and sympathetic notes were left at a fountain in downtown Orinda. One of the notes said, "Your lives matter." Brian Joseph Chesky, the CEO of Airbnb, announced a change in company policy on November 2nd, stating that the company would ban party houses and implement a system that would flag potential high-risk reservations. Some residents of Orinda and San Francisco expressed frustration that reaction to the shooting was mostly focused on Airbnb's policy instead of empathy towards the victims and their families. On October 30th, 2015, a Romanian metalcore band named Goodbye to Gravity were performing live at a nightclub called the Colectiv, located in Bucharest, Romania. They were performing a free concert to celebrate the release of their new album, Mantras of War. At some point during the concert, the pyrotechnics, which consisted of sparkler firework candles, ignited the club's flammable polyurethane acoustic foam, resulting in the fire spreading rapidly. 64 people died and 146 were injured. 62 of the fatalities were Romanian, 1 was Turkish and 1 was Italian. 26 people died in the fire and 38 others died later in the hospital. All the members of Goodbye to Gravity perished, with the exception of singer Andre Galut, who suffered severe injuries to 45% of his body. A survivor of the fire, whose girlfriend had lost her life that night, committed suicide nearly 2 years later, on July 29, 2017. Due to the high amount of casualties, some of the seriously injured were brought to countries in Europe such as the United Kingdom and Norway, as well as Israel. Most of the victims were poisoned by toxins released from the burning foam. Protests over the corruption linked to the fire led to the resignation of Romanian Prime Minister Victor Ponta and his government. The three men who shared ownership of the club, Alan George Anastescu, Paul Castellan and Costin Minku, were arrested on November 2nd and charged with negligent homicide, negligent bodily harm, and negligent destruction. On December 16, 2019, the owners were sentenced to 11 years and 8 months in prison. On January 3, 2014, an armed criminal boarded a bus in São Luís, Brazil, with people on board, and pulled out a handgun. He points the gun at the driver and demands that everyone on the bus exits, while the man's accomplices pour gasoline around the bus. Their goal was to riot against the poor conditions of the Pedrinas prison, considered to be the most notorious and violent prison in Brazil, where 62 inmates had died the previous year. As part of the riot, they decided to burn multiple buses in São Luís. Among the people inside this particular bus was 6-year-old Ana Clara Santos Souza, along with her 22-year-old mother and 17-month-old sister. After the gasoline was poured, one of the criminals decided to light it, despite pleas from Anna's mother not to hurt the children. Anna's mother and sister got off the bus quickly. Anna exited as well, but she was engulfed in flames. She suffered burns to over 95% of her body. Her mother suffered 40% of burns to her body, and her sister suffered 20%. Both thankfully survived. Other people on the bus were also injured, but they survived as well. The same day as Anna's burning, 3 other buses were set on fire in various other places in São Luís. Nobody else was fatally injured. Anna's father, Wenderson de Souza, said, "I just buried my daughter. It's terrible pain. There's no logic to this, such cruelty." Adding to the tragedy, Anna's great-grandfather suffered a heart attack and died after hearing what happened. In Ireland, on March 20th, 2016, 5 family members died after their car went into the Lough Swilly water, causing them to drown. 49-year-old Sean McGrossie was in his Audi SUV 4x4 with his 2 sons, 12-year-old Mark and 8-year-old Evan, his 4-month-old baby daughter named Reek Nagan, his mother, 59-year-old Ruth Daniels, and her daughter, 14-year-old Jodie Lee. The family were originally from Derry, located in Londonderry, Northern Ireland, and had travelled to Buncrana in Donegal for a day together. At around 7:30 p.m, while their car was parked on a pier, it slipped on treacherous algae as it was trying to turn around, and fell into the water. A man by the name of David Walsh, who was from the Kerry Keel area, noticed the drowning family members and swam out to sea to help. When he approached the car, Sean handed his 4-month-old daughter over to Walsh so that she may be safe. Save my baby," were Sean's last words. Walsh also tried to rescue 12-year-old Mark by grabbing his hand and attempting to pull him out, but tragically he lost his grip and could only rescue the baby. After the tragedy, Walsh told the Irish-based news source The Independent, "It happened so fast. I ran down and the local man was there. I know now he was Francis Crawford, and he asked me if I could swim to the Jeep. I asked if there were currents, and he said there was, but I just stripped down to my underpants to get the best chance of going out, and I went in. I didn't stop to think. I got out to the car. The man had to smash the window from inside, and all I could hear was the screaming. Lots of screaming coming from inside of the car. I will never forget those screams. It was awful. When the car was eventually pulled from the sea, attempts were made to revive the 5 occupants, but it was to no avail and they were all pronounced dead. Sean McGrassey's partner, Louise James, was attending a hen party in Liverpool, England at the time of the tragedy. She was distraught when she learned what happened to her family. David Walsh was nationally hailed a hero for his quick thinking and bravery. Had it not been for his actions, Regan might not be alive today. He said that he often feels guilty for not being able to save more people. A funeral was held for the 5 victims on March 24th. At the funeral, it was learned that minutes prior to the tragedy, the family were on a phone call with Miss James from Liverpool. One of the boys told her that he was going to give her the biggest hug when she came home. This wasn't the only tragedy to have affected the family. One of Miss James's newborn sons, Joshua, had lived for only 17 hours before dying due to complications. Sean had also lost his sister Anne to cancer in July of 2015. On November 22, 2017, it was revealed that Sean McGrassey had 159 milligrams of alcohol per 100 milliliters of blood in his system at the time of his death, more than 3 times the legal limit of 50 milligrams. On March 27, 2018, it was reported that Walsh's at-the-time girlfriend Stephanie Knox, who helped comfort Regan immediately after she was rescued, was filing a lawsuit claim against the Donegal County Council due to loss of earnings and other matters. She said that she only filed a claim 2 years later because she saw other people were doing so as well. Jasmine Marie Sanchez was a 13-year-old girl from Austin, Texas. She loved singing, and on January 26, 2014, she uploaded a YouTube video of her singing All of Me by John Legend, which has over 325,000 views.
Hi there. I don't know, I'm awkward. Well, so I'm gonna do a cover of All of Me by John Legend. And yeah, I like the song. I don't know. Okay. So here we go. What would I do without your smart mouth? Drawing me in and you kicking me out. Got my head spinning, no kidding. I can't pin you down. What's going on in that beautiful mind? I'm on your magical mystery ride, and I'm so dizzy, don't know what hit me, but I'll be alright. My head's underwater, but I'm breathing fine. You're crazy and I'm out of my mind, 'cause all of me loves all of you. All your curves and all your edges, all your perfect imperfections. Give your all to me, I'll give my all to you. You're my end and my beginning. Even when I lose, I'm winning, 'cause I give you all of me, and you give me all of you. Give me all of you, Give your all to me, I'll give my all to you. You're my end and my beginning. Even when I lose, I'm winning. 'Cause I give you all of me, and you give me all of you. I know I messed up on that last part, but oh well. Yeah. I don't know. Bye.
Tragically, 3 months after this video was posted, on April 25th, 2014, Jasmine died by suicide after getting hit by a train. The conductor noticed her sitting on the tracks and honked the horn to warn her, but was sadly unable to avoid a collision. In a video Jasmine made 6 months prior to her suicide, she said that she was being bullied in school. To quote what she said, "Like being called ugly or fat or a bitch. I've been called all that and so much more. I was pushed into lockers, I would be tripped in the hallway, and once or twice I got pushed down the stairs. I couldn't take it anymore, I really couldn't." Sadly, the bullying continued after Jasmine killed herself. Her video, which she called her suicide story, was shared on Reddit, where she was made fun of even more. If Jasmine were still alive today, she would be 20 years old.